In this video, we are going to learn about factoring. So just a little recap. Factors are the smallest numbers, remember the smaller numbers that divide into the number we're talking about, the regular size number, okay? And the greatest common factor is the biggest one that two numbers have in common, okay? Now, when we are factoring, it's another way to simplify expressions. Now, you might think that we are unsimplifying expressions when we are factoring because we just learned the distributive property. When we factor, we take out the greatest common factor of both terms, and when we factor, we do the opposite of distributive property. So remember in distributive property, it kind of looked like this: 5 parentheses x plus 1. We want our answer to look like this, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what the GCF is. What's the greatest common factor between 9 and 12? Or what number goes into both 9 and 12? What's the biggest number that goes into 9 and 12? Well, I know that 3 does. So the greatest common factor is 3. So I'm just going to jot that down over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our greatest common factor on the outside of parentheses. And then we're going to write what factors are left inside. So if I were to divide out a 3 and 9, I'm left with a 3. And I'm also still left with the x. If I divide out a 3 and 12, I am left with a 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4. You can also think of this as multiplication. You could think of this as 3 times x. And this is 3 times 4. They both have that common 3. So if I take this 3 out of both of them, we only have to write it once. I'm left with 3x and I'm left with 4. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's try number 2. 60 and 16. Now, I know that they're both even, and that might be the biggest number that goes into them too. At first I thought 6, but nope, because 6 doesn't go into 16, that's 8, but 8 doesn't go into 60. So let's try 2. 2 goes into 60 30 times with x left over. And 2 goes into 16 8 times. Now here's how I know that we didn't take the greatest common factor, is because another number can still come out of 30 and 8. So I know that there's another 2 that comes out, which means we could have taken out a 4 from the beginning. Okay, so let's do that now. We're going to take out a factor of 4 instead. 4 goes into 60. We might have to do a little bit of side work if we need to. 1, 4, okay, 15 times. So 4 times 15 gives me 60, or 60 divided by 4 is 15. X plus 4 goes into 16 4 times. And now I know that this is in simplest form because there's nothing that goes into both 15 and 4. And I wanted to show you what that looked like if we didn't take the greatest common factor from the beginning. Okay? So now I know that this is the most simplified version if we are factoring. Okay, simplification by factoring. Now this is undoing the distributive property because we can check our work by doing the distributive property. Does 4 times 15x give us our original 60x? Yes. And does 4 times 4 give us 16? Yes. And let's try 4. All right. 4. All right, I have 2 ideas here. I'm looking at these numbers. We have 3 terms, so our number has to be able to be taken out of all 3 of these. So I know that 5 goes into all of them because they all end in a 5 or a 0. And I'm also wondering if maybe 9 goes into all of them too, because I know 9 goes into 45 and I know 9 goes into 90, but I wonder if 9 goes into 135. So let's just test really quick. We can use our mental math. Instead of doing our long division, use your divisibility rules. I know that 5 plus 3 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So yes, 9, so 135, is it divisible by 9? That's my question. I added the sum of the digits, which is 9. 9 divided by 9 works, which means 135 is divisible by 9. So our greatest common factor using our divisibility rules is 9. Okay. Let's just clear some of this work. All right. And I know that it's 9, so if I want, I can write out the things up here. 9 times the factors. 9 times 5 gives me 45. 9 times 10 gives me 90. And then I might need to still do my long division over here. 1, 9, 4, 45, which is 5. Okay, so 9 times 15 gives me 135. And I shouldn't forget my n here, and I shouldn't forget my m here. All right. Now, if I'm taking out a factor of 9 in all of them, I am left with 5n plus 10 plus 15m. And that is my final answer, simplified by factoring.